Hi, welcome to the recap room. In today's video, we'll be talking about an action, adventure and fantasy film entitled The Mummy. Warning, spoilers ahead. The movie begins with a burial site in 1127 AD in England. A priest is placed inside a coffin along with a ruby. Fast forward to the present day, during the biggest construction project in Europe, the Crossrail. They found the ancient tomb filled with the coffins of Crusader knights. This discovery has been the topic of the news as it reveals the secrets about London's history. At the site, workers led by a strange man come and ask the people there to clear out the site. This is Dr. Henry, a man who has dedicated his life to unearthing many ancient mysteries. He believes that this tomb reveals antiquity's darkest secret. It is then revealed that there was once a beautiful yet ruthless princess named Amenet, who is supposed to be the sole heir to the throne of Egypt. But when the pharaoh had a son, she made a choice to make a pact with the god of death to reclaim her destiny. She was then reborn as a monster, killing his father and brother. Her vow was to bring the demon into the world in the body of a mortal man. However, the princess was stopped and was mummified alive, and her body was carried far from Egypt to be condemned in eternal darkness. The scene then transitions to a scene in Iraq where there are insurgents. Sergeant Nick is looking from afar and looks at a letter meant for Jennifer from Dr. Henry asking to investigate a burial site. He suddenly decides to go down the site, although there are insurgents to look for Haram, which he believes means treasure. But his partner, Sergeant Vale, disagrees, saying that the translator mentions that it means forbidden knowledge, or in other words, a curse. But knowing that it must be precious to Dr. Henry, Sergeant Nick persuades Sergeant Vale to go look for it. They run for their lives as the rebels attack them. Good thing Sergeant Vale called for an airstrike backup, and so they survive. The building they are in collapses, revealing a hidden place underground. Both of them were scolded by Colonel Greenway for defying orders. He knew they weren't hunting for the enemy, but for antiquities, stealing it and selling it on the black market. A girl suddenly appears slapping Sergeant Nick. Apparently, the map of the letter he was holding earlier is hers. She reveals that they were together 3 nights ago at an hotel in Baghdad, and while she was sleeping, he went through her things. He denies her allegation. She's astonished to see that what is hidden underground is Egyptian, even if Egypt is 1,000 miles away. Knowing how valuable it is, she asks the colonel to secure the village. Knowing that they're not even supposed to be there, the colonel only gives her 2 hours and asks Sergeant Nick and Sergeant Vale to go down the hole with her. Jennifer inspects the place and recognizes it's a tomb. There's mercury dripping from the ceiling into holes in the ground. She sees the canal system leading all the way to a ritual well. Jennifer sees the ritual barrier chain that surrounds the well as a warning to intruders. Meanwhile, Sergeant Vale snatches the gold accessories from the remains. Nick tries to steal a ring, but Jennifer stops him. Seeing that there are 6 watchers around the well, Jennifer concludes that whatever is in there, those chains are for holding it down. Therefore, it is not a tomb, but a prison. The colonel calls them and asks them to leave, but Jennifer wants to stay. Nick shoots the chains. Suddenly, a coffin-like box is raised up and spiders swarm out from the dog. Nick stares at the face mask on the coffin and sees an illusion of the princess who told him that he has set her free. Jennifer then asks him to tell Greenway to bring his team there to get the coffin out of there. They successfully pull the coffin from the ground, but Nick notices the place is surrounded by crows. They hurriedly transfer the coffin to a plane because of an incoming sandstorm. Sergeant Vale starts to show some strange symptoms because he was bit by a spider underground. Jennifer studies the hieroglyphs and uncovers the story of Princess Amenet. Nick again sees visions, and when he awakens, he sees Sergeant Vale beside the coffin. Then he stabs the colonel when he stops him. He proceeds and approaches them with the intention to stab them all. Left with no other choice, Nick shoots him 3 times. Suddenly, the aircraft seems to be malfunctioning, and they were attacked by crows. Nick was able to save Jennifer by giving her a parachute, while he, along with other soldiers, falls down to the ground. Fast forward, Jennifer is asked to identify the bodies at the morgue. Nick returns to life and sees Vale giving him a warning. On the crash site, a search team is deployed. An officer finds the coffin opened and is attacked by a mummy. His partner looks for him, but he's also attacked. It is then revealed that the mummy is feeding on people for energy to regenerate her body. He then asked the two officers who became mummies to rise up. Meanwhile, Jennifer and Nick are at a bar. She was curious as to how he made it out alive without a single scratch on his body and thanked him for saving her life. In addition, she revealed that an Egyptian princess had been deliberately erased from the history books and that they've been searching for the Dagger of Set, a ceremonial knife with a large jewel at the hilt. Legend has it that the stone and the dagger together have the power to give the god of death, Set, a physical form. Jennifer tells him that she thinks they have angered the gods. Nick keeps seeing Vale as a ghost who insists on talking to him, and so he meets him in the bathroom. Vale reveals that he is cursed, and so it's Nick. That way he survived the crash. He says he can't escape it and has to follow what the princess asks of him. Outside the bar, Nick sees a mummy and is attacked by rats. But it stopped when Jennifer woke him up only to reveal that it was just another vision. He then agrees with her that they have angered the gods and tells her everything. But she doesn't believe him and says it's just because of his exposure to mercury. The scene then transitions to the main crash site where Nick and Jennifer arrive. The mummies take Nick and lays him down while the princess overwhelms him. He takes out the dagger and attempts to stab him, but she stops when she discovers that the jewel isn't there. Suddenly, Jenny walks right into the scene and Nick asks her to run, but it's too late. The princess followed her while the other mummies attack Nick. Luckily, Nick defeats them and rescues her in time by stabbing the princess with the dagger. Jenny takes the dagger and both of them escape, but the princess is in Nick's head, controlling his thoughts. That's when he drove right back to her. Realizing that, they tried to escape again and drove away. While they were driving, the mummies attacked them, causing their vehicle to topple over. Nick sees the mummified princess and tried to hit her, but she was too powerful for him. She throws him to the ground and then approaches Jenny to kill her. But luckily, she was saved by the Delta team who has come to get the princess. He's taken to a facility where their artifacts are hidden and kept safe. He was brought to the office of Dr. Henry, who apparently knows all about Nick. The doctor introduces himself as a chemical pathologist, neurosurgeon, and also lawyer. Dr. Henry Jekyll says that he specializes in immunology and infectious diseases. The doctor tells him a story of his former patient who went mad. Suddenly, he turns different and injects himself with a serum to bring himself back. The doctor then leads him to a secret chamber where the princess was locked up. The room is called Prodigium, meaning a warning of monsters. It is then revealed that Jenny works for them and their business is about recognizing, containing, examining, and destroying evil. Since the princess is the most ancient they ever encountered, they are embalming her with mercury so she could be saved for dissection. Jenny seems unaware of this plan and is shocked. The doctor tells Nick that they are the only ones who can rectify his curse. Princess Amunet warns him that he cannot escape his destiny. She reveals that her plan was not to kill his chosen one, but to make him a living god. Another vision occurs in Nick's head. There, the princess is persuading him to give in so she could make him Set, having the power of life and death. But Jennifer interrupts and wakes him up. Suddenly, the princess complains that the mercury burns her, so Nick asks him to stop. Shortly after, Jennifer tells Nick why she kept her alliance with the doctor a secret. She knew she wouldn't believe her, and then she tells him how she cares for him. Back at the ancient tomb discovered at the beginning of the movie, they finally found the hidden jewel. Jennifer talks to the princess in the ancient language, but she responds in modern English, saying that the language is simple. She threatens to kill Jenny, and then reveals that the stone was already discovered. In addition, the princess makes Jenny think about what her captors could actually do to Nick. The doctor offers Nick a drink and says that evil is lurking around, continuing to find a way to come in, a way to become flesh and blood. Nick asks the doctor what's his plan to cure him, but he only replies that due to its complexity, certain sacrifices must be made. Their conversation was interrupted when the doctor was notified that they have already found the stone. Jenny comes over to clarify if the plan was to kill Nick with a dagger, and the doctor confirms it. At the Prodigium, the princess seems to be working on a plan. Back at the office, Nick can't believe that the plan was to kill him. The doctor then says he's going to die either way. The doctor seems to be changing again into another creature, but before he could inject himself with a serum, Nick steals it from him. Because of it, the doctor turns different. Jenny escapes, but Nick was left locked in the office with the doctor. Nick and the doctor fight as Henry offers him a partnership. Back at the Prodigium, the plan of the princess has succeeded. The man in charge of injecting her mercury was poisoned, and then gets a weapon to destroy the machinery. Jenny tries to save Nick, but is hindered by a man from the doctor's team. Luckily, Nick was able to inject the doctor with the serum and overpowers him. Jenny finally enters the office and tells Nick that they have to destroy the stone to break the curse. There is chaos in the Prodigium while Nick and Jenny escape. The princess manages to free herself from the chains and summons the god to help her deliver the chosen one to him. All the sand breaks loose and follows Nick and Jenny. The princess is finally free and she has the dagger in her hand. The whole town is engulfed with the sand and Jenny and Nick run for their lives. Vale suddenly appears and tells him he knows what the stone is. He leads Nick underground where suddenly mummies appear. The princess heads over to the ancient tomb to retrieve the stone. All the remains come to life and become mummies who attack the personnel there. Jenny's there in the tunnel too. Luckily, Nick saves her when a mummy was about to get her. Several more mummies appear, but they were able to lock them out. The princess finally gets the stone and inserts it into the dagger. While trying to find a way out, a mummy attacks Nick and Jenny and throws them down the water. Suddenly, the princess appears from behind and pulls Jenny away. Underwater, there were several more coffins hidden. Nick tries to look for them, but he is followed by the mummies. He sees her body and pulls her out of the water, but the mummies surround him and get him. Nick is devastated to see Jenny's body floating in the water. Suddenly, all the mummies turn into dust, and the princess approaches him with a dagger in her hand. He tries to fight her, but she's too strong. When the princess chokes him, Nick finds a way to steal the dagger from her hand. He then breaks the stone, but the princess stops him, saying he could have the power of life over death. But he isn't persuaded. Suddenly, he stabs himself with the dagger and he transforms. Nick approaches the princess, but he suddenly remembers a memory of Jenny and decides to kill Amunet. He comes to Jenny and wakes her up. It was a success. Jenny regains her life, but Nick hides because he became different. He's afraid he will hurt her, so he doesn't want to face her. He knew they were coming for him, so he says goodbye to Jenny. The doctor finds Jenny with a dagger in her hand. At the Prodigium, the remains of the princess were put back in the coffin. Jenny informs the doctor that he's wrong about him because he saved her. At another place, Nick is in the desert with Vale. He gave Vale back his life, and they went on to go on an adventure together. And that's how the film ends. For more movie recaps like this, make sure to like and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well, so that you are notified on our next uploads. Thank you for watching.